Hey there, are you a tech founder? And when you feel like things are not working out, you're like, a pivot, let's try something different. If you're that person, welcome. Today we're talking about pivoting without positioning. So come on in, say hello. I am Chevy, your host, and welcome to the Executive Innovation Show. And this show is focused on helping tech founders like yourself who are wanting federal opportunities through qualified proposal and core partnership. And I do that through, without sacrificing your time or your capacity. Okay. And I do that through federal innovation grant submission, advisory support, and also making sure that training if you need that training. As your federal execution partner, BD, which is your business development consultant, facilitator, and author. Welcome to the the Executive Innovation Show. I need to slow down, but it's Wednesday. Come on in. As always, y'all, drop in the comments where you're joining from, what you do, because again, this show is to bring people together. Because when it comes to the innovation space, it's about connecting with core potential partnership individuals who you can probably create an opportunity with in the future. So I want you to come on in and share what you do, because for me, is making sure that this show is not just showcasing what Chevy does, but other people who are in my network as well too. So come on in. And today we're talking about pivoting without positioning. And I am guilty of this. Okay. When I say I'm guilty of this, I am guilty of this because as I was building my businesses and I can be impatient because I am that person when I want to go ahead and move forward on something. Guess what? I'm moving forward. And that is not always good. But that's the great thing about being an innovator, someone who is ambitious, someone who's driven like yourself. We don't wait to have all the pieces, which is good and also can be ineffective as well too. So when I'm talking about pivoting without positioning, this is truly for the founder who is building, who has the drive, but maybe something is not working and you just like, okay, we're shifting. And what does pivoting without positioning really looks like? And I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to give some example as well too. So pivoting without positioning looks like someone who is overwhelmed by doing and showing up and nothing is happening. I've been there. I have been there. And if you have that, if you're currently there, say currently, because I want to know, because here is about having real conversations. So you're overwhelmed. That's part of the process. You are in a position where you're at capacity, mentally, you're at capacity where you're not having the focus and the clarity that you need. Okay. You don't have a guidance. Maybe you don't have a mentor, or maybe you have a mentor and that mentor is not the right mentor for you. And when I say mentor, that could be a paid mentor, that could be a mentor that's just guiding you, that could be a consultant, that could be a business coach, whatever that is for you. So there's different factors that are occurring that is allowing you to, like, you know what, let's shift. And also the market is a factor that is causing you to shift. But what you fail to do because you're trying to get ahead of the game, you have not taken the time to pause for a second, because I know as someone who is ambitious, who is driven, we like to move and we move fast. Okay. If you move fast, if you can relate to say, yes, Chevy, that's me. I move fast when things like I need it to be, happen yesterday, and drop fast in the chat. All right, we do have someone joining us today, the amazing Samantha K. Harris. She said, hey, Chevy, good morning. And she is joining us from New Jersey. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for being here. And please drop in the chat what you do and who you do it for. Okay. So, and we're talking about pivoting without positioning. And I know, like I shared, I have done this, and you may have done the same, Samantha, maybe not, but let us know in the chat. Okay. And I talked about when it comes to what is causing us to shift: the market, overwhelm, capacity, also funding could be a factor, not having a person to guide you and mentor you, many different things. Yes, very fast. Very, very fast. Okay. And when we don't create that alignment and really pause for that moment to position our companies the right way, we miss opportunities. I mean, like aligned opportunities. And we miss the opportunity to make sure that we are fitted when it comes to making sure that we have the right agency to that we want to go after. All right. And also we have to look at when it comes to submission, if you're not positioned right, you may submit for something and it does not even fit the agency or what the agency was looking for because you did not take the time to make sure that what you are building, that prototype, fits, or that RFP or the services that you offer fits what this agency is looking for. So we don't just want to just pivot into things dependent on the situation. Sometimes we just have to adjust and move forward. The environment, but also we have to look at, okay, the landscape. How are we going to move forward in this space? Because we know there are different priorities when it comes to the government, what they're looking for. So you always have to want to kind of pause for a quick second to decide, how can I make sure that I position my company for aligned opportunities? And one founder that I would serve more in the advisory support in helping them to submit their first phase one SBIR proposal. And this person again was not aware. They knew what they service were in the sense of their innovation, but learning about cyber and what the Department of War or DoD at the time was looking for was for this piece of equipment to help them to support a bigger mission when it came to the Navy. And what we had to do, we had to look at, okay, how can we make sure that you don't just jump into this as someone who is brand new into learning about what cyber is, the process, the agency process, but really looking at, okay, doing the research, okay, identifying what you are building, does it fit in what they were looking for? And that person, with my guidance, understood, okay, here's how they can move forward. Here's what they needed to do. Here's how the narrative should be written. Here is what not to do, because again, certain things the agency will tell you, hey, this is what we need. But you might be thinking, well, here's what I have. No, that is not how it works. You have to look at alignment. You have to make sure that you're positioning. And that person was able to write their first ever phase one proposal and submit that, and also identify a core partner to help them straighten that proposal, because all of that comes with positioning. So imagine if that person went straight ahead without doing any type of pre-work to really position that innovation for that specific mission or for that solution, I would say. There's no guaranteed in the cyberspace or in the federal space at all. Okay. If you feel like there's guarantees, then you are in the wrong market, my friend. So as a founder, you have to ask yourself, am I just pivoting just to pivot because things are not working out? Or am I really taking a smidge of your time, because I know you don't have a lot of time, to make sure that your company or this specific, not even the whole company, but this specific thing that you are building is positioned for that specific agency? That's the question that you want to sit with and write out and answer it. All right. I do have a comment from Samantha. She said, okay, she worked with women in the male dominated industries who want to stay, grow, and lead and get paid. That's right. While helping companies, so the corporate companies, retain the talented women that they have hired. Love, love, love that. And she also said positioning is so important. It is, because from my personal experience, and I know more than likely, Samantha, you probably have your own experience, and we all have our own experiences when it comes to position. But as you are building a company or multiple companies, and if you don't have that position and the clarity needed, you're going to waste time, you're going to waste money, because I was there. I have done that from, trying to figure things out, because again, I had no guidance. And then even after investing into different coaches, consulting, and after a while over the years, I'm like, okay, here's how I need to position my company. And even when I first started my process and my journey of entrepreneurship, And I would hear the word position and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? In the sense of business, like, and I start like, oh, that's what. But again, even hearing it, but still not fully comprehending and applying when it comes to position my business. But the more I have grown, I have, continue on this journey, I will say, when it comes to entrepreneurship, I have learned a lot. And one of the key things is, as a founder, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have to know the position statement for your product, your services, your company. You have to know that. Yes, Samantha says she has been there because so much time, so much energy, so much resources are wasted when we are not fully positioned, because you're going to look back years from now and say, okay, dang, I wasted all this time. But if you take the time to position, you are going to do well. So when it comes to positioning, that's where you need to start. Like, hands down, that is where you need to start, because you have to look at, what is the problem that I'm serving? What is the offer? What is the services? Which agency? And I've talked about this before on previous lives, but it's a reoccurring theme, a reoccurring conversation that needs to be had, because again, too often as a founder, you are in the build, like you love building. Okay. And if you can spend majority of your time in that stage, you're going to be like, I'm good. Like, I'm in heaven. But you know that after the build, you have to look at what is the next step. So again, positioning, you have to look at your technology. What strategic partner do you need? And what I've learned in supporting clients and founders who are tapping into submitting for innovation grants, whether that's federal, whether that's through state, partnership is key. I believe that strengthens your application process. It doesn't guarantee it, because again, we cannot guarantee any funds. It really strengthens your application to get to that end goal, which is to win that specific innovation grant. So you have to be mindful of how you're positioning your service, your product, and your company. All right, we have Samantha. She said, you're right. The understanding of position isn't quite understood. And especially as a beginner who is tapping into the federal market space, whether it's, business, going into corporate, like all of what you're trying to do as a beginner, and even as you are growing, sometimes you have some companies that aren't positioned correctly, and they're wondering why they're losing customers, why they are losing revenue, because sometimes that positioning shifts. And I was it was like a post on Instagram yesterday, and they were sharing about Peloton and how Peloton, during the pandemic, it was positioned for like your home gym, your home workout. You got the bike, you got the treadmill, you got the weights, you got the gear, you got everything. And in that moment, we were all locked in at home. It made sense. And guess what? Revenue skyrocketed. But after everyone was able to go out and get back into the gym, I can't remember who exactly, but again, I'm just paraphrasing what I read. And they talked about how their purchase of the company's products went down significantly. And they brought in a new CEO. Don't ask me the name. I can't remember the name. They brought in a new CEO, and the new CEO, what that person did, they looked at how the customers were responding. And during COVID, they were positioned to help you create that home gym, because again, you couldn't go to the gym outside at your local gym down the street or in town. But what he found out through his research, the positioning shifted for Peloton. And this ties into you as a founder. You have to look at the market. What is happening right now to create the shift without just shifting without true positioning? And what this CEO did, they learned that it wasn't the equipment that got people to purchase. So it wasn't the gear, because in the beginning, they were just pushing the equipment, the gear, and different things. And what the new CEO did was allowed and brought it to, the board, all the things, was to allow each instructor to build their brand using Peloton, because it wasn't the equipment that the customers fell in love with. They fell in love with the instructors, the energy, the community. They were building community because think about it. When you go to the gym, if you do an exercise class, you go to maybe a core specific instructor consistently. Because I know I do. If I'm going to a group exercise class or a Zumba class, whatever it is, I'm going to a specific instructor that I've gone to multiple times because one, I like how they do their exercises. I love the intensity. I love how they show up, their energy. So that CEO made a CEO decision to shift the narrative, shift the positioning to where now it is focused on the instructors and not the equipment. So as a founder, what are you shifting into? And is that positioning clear? Clear for you, clear for your team, but also clear for the buyer. So again, is your positioning clear for you? Is it clear for your team? Is it clear for your buyer and your customers as well? All right, let's see what Samantha said. Okay, we already shared that. So again, we are talking about pivoting without positioning. As a founder, if you know you need to position your innovation to get to the next stage, which is the opportunity to gain funding, the opportunity to gain partnership, then I want you to connect with me. Oh, excuse me. I want you to connect with me. I want you to send me a DM with the word partnership. Okay. Or, you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not looking for a partnership, but positioning. Send me the word positioning so that we can have a quick conversation so that I can understand where you're at. Because if you continue to build and then there's no traction, there's no movement, then you're in a cycle where you're building and then nothing happens. You're building, nothing happens. And I want you to get to the point where you're building, but you already identify the agency, you've identified the potential partners, you identify the person to help you to write a qualified proposal that is merit worthy, because again, that proposal has to be merit worthy when it comes to your innovation proposals, and making sure that you can get through the door, because you want to position that proposal to get through your federal door. So as your guide here today, I want to invite you to reach out. Send me the word positioning and let's see how we can help you position the right way so that you can gain more opportunities, whether that's through innovation grant submission, partnership opportunities through collaboration, and teaming. You never know what can come from making sure that you are positioned. And I'll give another quick example. Like for last week when I did my live and I talked about people blockage, how that is costing you. Someone left a comment on the live afterwards and say, "Hey Chevy, love what you're sharing, love what you're speaking about. We need to connect." That tells me, okay, I am positioned and I'm speaking to the right audience, to the right buyer. And maybe that person is not going to buy, but maybe that person may say, "Hey Chevy, we want you to come in and speak on this specific topic because you are showing up in this space. Your position as the person to do this, to speak about this, the expert." So you have to position yourself correctly. And any questions, drop it in the chat. Let me know. If hashtag replay later on, if you're like, "Hey Chevy, I have a question," you can drop it here. I can respond in the comment, or you can send me a private message if you would like to just have that one-on-one conversation with me. Let me see, make sure that I didn't miss anything. I think that is it for today. So remember, as a founder, it is your responsibility to make sure that you are positioned the right way. You don't want to lose time. You don't want to lose energy. And you don't want to be at capacity because you're just moving from one thing to the next, one thing to the next. I get it. I've been there, but I'm on the journey where, okay, here's where I'm going to stay. And if I do pivot, does it make sense for me in this moment? Because just because things are shifting, doesn't mean that you have to shift because it is shifted. Does it impact you? If it does, then okay, make that adjustment, but make sure that you look at how you can position that before you fully just pivot. Okay, because I've done that. Samantha has done that. And that usually put us back. Okay, and I don't want you to waste time or continue to operate without being over capacity. All right, if there are no questions, I want to thank you all for joining me in the Executive Innovation Show. I'm your host, Chevy, your federal execution partner, business development consultant, facilitator, and author. And what I focus on the Executive Innovation Show is truly helping founders like yourself who wants federal opportunities by submitting qualified proposals and bringing in core partnership without continuing to burn out and being at capacity. And we do that in multiple ways, whether that's helping you with service submission, proposal development, advisory support, and also training. So if this resonated with you, by all means, please reach out. I'm here every Wednesday live, unless life is happening. But I want to thank you all for joining and thank you for watching the replay. And y'all have an amazing day as always. Okay. See y'all later.